It's the nomination thrusting the Signal app back into the spotlight. Mike Waltz's ouster as National Security Advisor is now expected to set up an explosive Senate confirmation hearing now that President Trump has nominated him to be U.S. Ambassador to the UN. Joining us now, Gabe Gutierrez, reporting from Washington, D.C., and Ned Price, former senior State Department and CIA official. Brendan Buck is back with us. Gabe, Waltz did not have to go through Senate confirmation to be NSA, so what's the White House preparing for now?
Hi there, Chris. Good afternoon. Well, Democrats are chomping at the bit here to be able to question Mike Waltz under oath, as you suggested during the Senate confirmation. But it's not just Democrats. He could also face some opposition, it's possible, from some more conservative members of the Republican Party, those that perhaps did not like his views on Ukraine. Also, he's seen by that wing of the party, the MAGA group, as being more conservative and neoconservative viewed by some. He was an aide at one point to Dick Cheney. And what the White House is doing right now is they're trying to spin this as a sort of promotion for Mike Waltz. Vice President J.D. Vance yesterday in an interview suggesting as much, saying that National Security Advisor did not need Senate confirmation. This position does, a UN ambassador. And Vice President J.D. Vance suggesting that if President Trump had wanted to fire Mike Waltz earlier, he would have done so. But certainly it appears that he definitely had his opponents within the administration, and he looks to be set up for a bruising confirmation battle in the Senate when that does happen, Chris.
That's certainly what Democrats are saying, Ned, and those lawmakers are gearing up for this hearing already. What do you think, what kind of information might they have the potential of uncovering?
Well, Chris, the fact that he was nominated for this role almost begs the question as to whether Donald Trump did this to someone he clearly does not like, to see him squirm and to actually see him on the hot seat. But as Chris Coons and other senators have said, they are rightly going to hold him to account for his behavior during his time as National Security Advisor. And even this week during the cabinet meeting, we have another exhibit of his reckless and dangerous behavior in that now former role. Let's leave aside the fact that he was texting during a cabinet meeting. Let's even leave aside the fact that he was using Signal, something for which he's been on the hot seat for weeks, during a cabinet meeting. The fact that we saw photographic evidence that he had recent Signal texts with the Vice President of the United States, with Steve Witkoff, with other senior officials, and most alarmingly to me, with Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, is something that Democrats will need to get into during his confirmation hearing. There is literally nothing that the National Security Advisor, or then National Security Advisor, I should say, and the serving Director of National Intelligence could be discussing over the phone. This was an incoming voice call from Tulsi Gabbard that would not be of interest to foreign intelligence agencies, even if it was purely social, which, by the way, I doubt, because the incoming call from Tulsi Gabbard came at something like 6 in the morning or 6:45 in the morning to Mike Waltz. So Democrats will have not only the obligation, but the need to find out the extent to which Mike Waltz and some of his colleagues throughout the administration were being reckless in this use of private sector communications platforms like Signal during their time in office.
Brendan, do you think that President considered how nominating Waltz would reignite the Signalgate scandal? I mean, obviously, I'm asking you to speculate, but there are questions to be raised because it was obvious I was on the air when it was breaking. The first thing everybody said is, okay, now there's a confirmation hearing.
Yeah, it was the first thing that went through my mind. Is he actually going to get confirmed? And I think he will. It's certainly a distraction. But I think this all gets back to Donald Trump's psyche, that you never really fire anybody. Maybe you demote people. You don't really ever admit error. So you had to find somewhere to stash him. And this was a convenient place to stash him after Elise Stefanik had stepped back from, or been forced to step back from her nomination. Okay, I think he's going to be confirmed. I think it's going to be an uncomfortable hearing. Obviously, Democrats have a lot to work with. But this isn't a situation where you have a Tulsi Gabbard, where it's a person completely out of step with long-held GOP foreign policy views. You had people like Mitch McConnell before who didn't like Tulsi, didn't like Pete Hegseth, and was willing to vote against them. one of the reasons I think Mike Waltz was removed was because he holds traditional GOP more hawkish views, and so he'll be, I think, be fine on the substance with GOP senators. And Mike Waltz is, I think, capable of getting through a hearing like that. It's just very unfortunate that they had to find themselves in here. I think the bigger problem for me is who are you going to be replacing him with, and are they going to resort back to that more isolationist, Trumpy worldview where the United States doesn't have a strong role in the world? I think that's ultimately what his downfall was.
Yeah, and as you well know, Ned, right now, Marco Rubio has taken over as interim a national security advisor, which means he holds 4 jobs. Secretary of State, of course, but he's also the acting head of USAID and the acting archivist of the National Archives. Here's what former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told Morning Joe about all that.
I spent 4 years as National Security Advisor, and on not one of those days did I say, hey, I've got some spare time to be Secretary of State as well. Right. So I think trying to do both jobs at once, maybe that worked back in Kissinger's era 50 years ago, but we have a competitive world.
By the way, Henry Kissinger was the only person who said it worked even 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But go ahead.
So big emphasis on maybe it worked. Okay, yeah. But we have a very competitive world out there, and we need a full team on the field.
So, Ned, what does it say? What that very decision to have Rubio do 4 full-time jobs? Tell us.
Yeah, Chris, to Jake's point, I can attest to having received emails from Jake at 2 and 3 in the morning. So it is certainly true that he did not have time to take on another cabinet role. Look, when it comes to Rubio, I think it's fair to call him probably the most titled, but in some ways the least empowered man in Washington. And I say that precisely because he does hold these 4 august titles. But when you go through them one by one, you see that in some ways they mean much less than they actually should. In terms of Secretary of State, he has been forced to cede so much of the most important diplomacy to people like Steve Witkoff, who is leading diplomacy with Iran, between Israel and Hamas, who is working between Russia and Ukraine, people like Rick Grenell, who've engaged with Venezuela and other special missions. And really, Rubio's marquee achievement, what he calls his achievement, the fact that he's revoked so many student visas, even that has been at least partially undone by this administration. Clearly, he's not doing a whole lot with the National Archives. He was placed there only because Trump wanted the previous archivist fired because that person had the temerity to say it was wrong of him to take classified documents to Mar-a-Lago. USAID is completely dismantled, so he's not doing anything there. And when it comes to the National Security Advisor, that should be more than a 24/7 job. I say should be because this administration has no regard for the process, and so much of that role is overseeing the process, litigating debates and discussion between the Defense Department and the intelligence community and the State Department and so on. Clearly, that is not happening because everything is decided by Donald Trump and Stephen Miller. There's no need for process in this administration, which I think works to the detriment of our national security in the end.